Welcome to Eyes and Teeth, the world's greatest variety show, revisiting Jimmy Tamley, who created the Steve Hewlett, the ventriloquist that you know. When I invited Jim back, he wanted not to talk about him, but he wanted to highlight my book, Ventriloquest. So we continued to talk our favourite vents around the world and discuss whether the ventriloquism is on its last legs and finally dying out, or is there something that can be done to saviour one of the finest visual comedy arts that has grown over the past 100 years, bringing you eccentricity, weirdos and millionaires. Find out which ones we are when we return to my chat with Jimmy Tamley. You do put them into categories, don't you? We were talking about the singing ventriloquist. Gary Wilner. You know, Gary Wilner has like a Sinatra and a Nat King Cole dummy.
Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, men who named you. You're so like the lady with a mystic smile. I've got you under my skin. I have got you deep in the heart of me. Are you warm? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely word of art?
And they're full-size figures. He still goes out and does it now. But he was doing that before Terry Fator. He was singing as Sinatra. He would bring them out and he would sing these songs, and it just looks like Sinatra. It looks like Nat King Cole. He would do, I don't know how many figures he's got, but he's in the book talking about when he started and he was supporting these great people in the day. You can imagine in Vegas and all those, Reno, all those great casinos and things. And then you got the Terry Fator, you got the Darci Lynne, the 12-year-old singing ventriloquist who come out. She's just a great singer, but she started singing and then she started ventriloquizing. You put that together. I mean, Terry Fator is an amazing impressionist and an amazing vocalist. And he's ended up being, you know, he was doing ventriloquist shows in kids' parties. He's put all of those together. And what you saw on AGT back in 2007 was astounding. It's an incredible, brilliant twist on the world of ventriloquism. And so that's why he was such the greatest entertainer. I think he's been voted in Vegas because of that. He's got all those components that you need. And I guess we'll call it a triple threat. I'm not a great singer. I don't do impressions. I'm just a ventriloquist. But if you've got all these other elements, and then you're going to blow the audience away, you know, we have to be strong with our comedy. If you can't sing, you got to be strong. Like Max Fulham, like you say, he's brilliant at inventing new ways of the style of ventriloquism, and he's got a great comedy content. He's got a great way of TikToking, you know, making up ideas, making anything talk. And I've started to see Max on TikTok do a couple of things. So I thought, oh no, don't do that because this is really old, you know, doing the alphabet backwards. But he doesn't do what I think he's about to do. He puts a twist on it every time, and he blows me away because he's got a great mind for comedy, and he's very quick-witted as well, you know. I used to see Max in my audiences in the early days. I don't know if you've met him or he's been to your show, but he used to come to a few of my theatre shows, and when I talked with Ronn Lucas, he came to that, and he was there. Actually, you met Max in Norfolk. Do you remember when you judged the talent competition at Ventriloquist Day, and Peter Pullen was there, Rose Dalton was there, and Max was out of 5 ventriloquists. He was on there with a little blue monster.
Yes, I do remember. And how he didn't win, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Could have been a flick of a coin, couldn't it? But no, very, very clever guy. And while you were talking there, I was trying to think of an American ventriloquist. What were we talking about? Some who Taylor Mason. That's the name I'm trying to think.
Oh, Taylor's brilliant. Yes.
I was trying to think of Taylor Mason and Romeo. Very inventive and clever, you know, and a nice take on it. When you watch him performing Squeaky Clean, I may add, you know, because he does these Christian conventions, but he's hilarious. He's very funny and he's very good off the top of his head. But yeah, I kind of sent you a list a few weeks ago. I had too much time on a cruise ship recently, and I was trying to put ventriloquism in because there's so many facets to it. I was trying to categorize it
I've got them in front of me. I've got them in front of me, Jim. So we'll talk about the stand-up ventriloquists. Tell me what you remember, and I'll add the ones that you haven't mentioned.
Okay, so I'm when I say stand-up ventriloquists, I'm talking about ventriloquists who rely on gags and strength and the power and to be able to do gags and make an audience laugh with their jokes. They're not relying on the slicky skills and throwing their voice so much. They're not relying on singing. They're just relying on standing. And I do this. I put myself in this category because, and I'm only giving my own experience, I turn up to a function or a corporate over the years, and you can look at the crowd and you think, blimey, if I sing the auctioneer song, which is part of my show, with this, I'm going to lose them for 2 minutes, and I got to win them back again. I can't do any music. And also sometimes there's nobody on the sound desk. There's a microphone stand, there's the PA, get on with it. I've got to do 45 minutes or whatever they want me to do, an hour or 20 minutes of just gags and entertain from a box and bring out these puppets and just do me, set up punchline, loads of gags and earn my money that way. I'm putting Jeff Dunham. Obviously, Jeff's very influenced by Edgar Bergen. And when you listen to Edgar Bergen, Charlie McCarthy, Mortimer Snerd, Effie Kinkler, you watch Edgar Bergen, it's all about the gag. Edgar Bergen is all about the insult in his guest, or if it's a comedian or someone who can take an insult, and the comedian knows what he's going to get because of what Charlie McCarthy's like. Edgar Bergen's a great writer. Jeff was very influenced by him. And Jeff is, when you listen to Ahmed and Walter and doing their routines, they're just very, very funny. And Peanut comes along, just takes the mickey out of Jeff, bombards them, just really has a go and sends the whole thing up. And then there's Bubba J, the alcoholic, drunkie, that more form of non-Formula One that Americans do.
Oh, NASCAR, yes.
Yeah, no, we don't get that. We get Formula One in Europe. But Johnny Roberts, another ventriloquist from the Cleveland days, just tearing into an audience, really insulting everybody. Mike Dennett, and he had a dummy called Chick. Mike Dennett, Tony Adams. These are British ventriloquists that come to my mind. Strassman is very reliant. He does special effects and everything else, but Strassman could just stand there and do gags all night long. So that's what I mean. Stand-up ventriloquism. That's one category. If you listen to this podcast in years to come, that's a category on its own. Ventriloquists who are like comedians. They use the dummy as their sounding board to vent off what they got to say, and they could have an angry puppet, a cute puppet, or an outrageous puppet. They could have, like Jeff and Strassman, various types of characters to express various types of humours.
Ice and Teeth. I've seen these guys live, Jim. I saw, it took me 30 years to see Roger de Courcy, but he was working at Haylen Island about 5 years ago, and I went on my dad's birthday to see Roger de Courcy for the first time. And he would do half-hour stand-up, and then he'd bring out the bear. And you can feel that anticipation of the audience going, when's he going to bring out the bear? Although Roger's a brilliant stand-up, he hated the bear, but it was his career, so he had to bring out the bear, and then he ripped the audience to pieces.
In Jubilee year, everyone's going to have a lot of street parties. You going to have a street party?
We are going to have a street party. Are we going to have a street party?
Are you?
I don't know.
You're going to have a street party?
Here we are. Cheshire, London, Whitsunday and Bellevue. All getting together for a big street party.
Must be a big street. It is. Which one? The M1. How can you have a street party on the M1?
We use the 2 lanes that are always shut.
I saw Paul Levent. Paul Levent would do half-hour stand-up. Then he'd bring out Sid and Gladys Winkle, which is the funniest vent routine. Last year, I saw, as you did, I saw Jeff Dunham do 2.5 hours with no interval, no glass of water. I think the guy's an android, but he blew the audience away with, although he's had 11 TV specials and he's got a completely different act 30 years ago that we used to see on Montreal Comedy Festival. He did none of that. He did 2.5 hours of brand new material, very funny. Everything he said was hilarious with each character, but Jeff would start, he would do maybe 10, maybe 12 minutes of stand-up, And then he says, right, who's ready to meet the little guys in the box? And the crowd will go crazy because they want to see the characters, but they do love Jeff doing the stand-up because he's great, because he really sets it up. And what he does so cleverly is that Jeff sets up a lot of gags that will come out later on within the routine. So not only is he just doing stand, he's not filling. Jeff doesn't need to fill. He does purpose written material at the beginning, so he links it with each character throughout the rest of the show. That is genius, isn't it? And I really appreciated that, the work that went into that.
Yeah, the comedians call that callbacks, don't they? Where you go back to something, but that's a traditional variety thing that's been used for a long time. And Jeff knows all those skills. Jeff's worked with Bob Hope. Jeff's worked with George Burns. He's worked with Milton Berle. He's worked with, these. I was thinking when
Johnny Carson,
Taylor Mason's name came up, and Jay Johnson. They've worked with, when Tina Turner died the other week. They've worked with, is it Taylor Mason's worked with her or Jay Johnson? One of them put on
Taylor did,
yeah. And they work with big, huge names that over here we're going to dream of. But in America, they use the ventriloquists to support those people. Now, the other category I was going to say, you already mentioned, which was Roger de Courcy. I'm talking about stand-up comics who are ventriloquists, who are basically stand-up comics. And they use the ventriloquism as an extra kind of thing in their show the last 10 minutes. Ventriloquists who are primarily doing all of their show as a stand-up comic, or in Roger de Courcy's case, a bit of singing as well, because he's a good tenor voice. Did you ever hear him sing?
I love that Des O'Connor clip when he was sat with Des O'Connor and then Nookie started to sing the Barbara Seville or something, and the interaction between him and Roger doing that song, it blew the audience and Des away. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen Roger do anything like this. And it's one of my favorite TV clips.
I said, Cabaret Song, come on, he sings a song with his rich voice, his baritone, but then he goes into stand-up comedy. And all the time you're thinking, yeah, get the bear out, because we want the bear. And then he brings out Nuki Bear. I'll mention another ventriloquist who's basically a stand-up comedian. This category of ventriloquism is someone who's basically a comedian or something else, but the ventriloquism is the bit they're known for, and it's the last 10 minutes of their show. Paul Levent had a good stand-up comedy career. And then he brings out Sid and Gladys at the end, which is a husband and wife bantering. They're from Birmingham in the Midlands in the UK. So there's a sort of like a lilt of the accent. Birmingham's got a slightly different accent to the rest of the country, talking like that. There's a bit of that in the accent, not maybe as exaggerated as that. But, Sid had his I can't stick her. He seemed to hate his wife. I can't stick her. What is she on about? They have a little, oh, Sydney, you're always telling me this. And he's got the high voice for little Gladys and the low voice. But Paul had a nice rapport with Sid and Gladys, and seemed to be the liaison officer they've been nowadays, couple therapy.
Where's your husband? Pardon? It's your anniversary. Where's your husband? He's in the back. Well, come and get him out when he's not talking to me. He's in a stinking mood. He didn't drinking all day, boozing. He didn't on the staff outing. He's self-employed. Look. What's his name? Sydney Winkle. You a banker, aren't you? I love that Cockney rhyming slang. Anyway, Sid! Dave, get Sid out here, will you? Happiness is a dry one. That's him. Supersonic Sid, the stud. Shut your face. Something running down my leg. I hope it sweats in there. Thinks he's sexy. Got hairs on my chest. Sounds a dog. You keep belching for us. That curry was all neat. How'd you know about the trots all day? Where you been all day? Wait, face ache. What? Where did you go first thing? Pleasure trip. What kind of pleasure trip? Took your mother home. Where you been all day, Sid? What, you was late? Yeah, where you didn't? Went today all day? Yeah, cemetery. Where's cemetery? Well, it was dead, all of them. He believes in reincarnation. Reincarnation. What the hell's that? You know what reincarnation is? Ain't got a clue. Reincarnation is when you die, you come back as something completely different. Huh? You come back as a miserable arsehole. You're not listening, are you?
As a ventriloquist, he's basically a stand-up comedian with, and then he brings out the dummies at the end. The modern day version of that, I would put down Gareth Oliver as someone who does a lot of stand-up comedy and gets the vent a little bit of his grandpa or monkey, and then a mask routine at the end. So you're mostly getting stand-up comedy from Gareth and a bit of ventriloquism at the end. Another character, you see, I kind of broke the ventriloquist down into little characters, into little, because there's so many facets to it. Now there's ventriloquists, and I've got ventriloquists doing stand-up, then I've got ventriloquists who are stand-ups through the dummies. Then I've got stand-up comedians who can do ventriloquism, like Roger de Courcy, Paul Levent, Gareth Oliver. They're stand-up comedians primarily who do a good bit of vent, and they're known for that. So you want to see the ventriloquist dummy at the end. Now, a category that I do love is the ventriloquists who have a lot of skills, who can throw their voice, who can make the voice come from a box, from a helmet, from a rolled up blanket and be a baby. Or, you know, I'm talking about Ronn Lucas, Senor Wences, George Schlick, Shari Lewis, Celia Munoz, Jack Williams. Ronn Lucas set the bar really high with this, with his row your boat, which is just mind-boggling when you watch that for the first time.
Yeah.
How can you do row your boat with a dummy? Row your boat, row gently, row down from the screen, your boat.
Good, Alan, kick it. Go, guys, kick it in. Go ahead. That is really fast. You start. I gotta start. Oh heck. Row your boat, row gently, row down the stream, your old boat. Merrily, gently, merrily down the merrily stream, merrily life, merrily is but, merrily a dream, merrily life, row it not, row a dream, row your boat, row gently, row down the stream, your old boat. Merrily, gently, merrily down the merrily stream, merrily life, merrily is but, merrily a dream, merrily life, it not a dream. Yeah! Thank you very much.
And I can't do it.
I've tried, but I can't do it the way he does it. No, it's a Ronn Lucas thing, isn't it?
You and me backstage once, how he did it with the musical notes and stuff, but I still didn't get it. But Ron just set the bar so high with skills, with his sock that turns into a puppet, the sock that becomes a character,
George,
the sock turns into a little George the turtle, and then his foot starts talking, his hand starts talking, then in between that he starts talking as well, you know. And George Schlick, when you watch George Schlick, I watched a bit of him on YouTube the other night. I remember him when I was a kid with a knight in shining armor, the head that pops up and talks every now and then. And that's a copy of probably Senor Wences, who had the little guy in the little head in the box. That's all right.
Georgie? Yes, Senor Wences speaking. How are you? Very well, thank you. Will you do me a favor? Yes, please call to your brother. Yes, now, please. Are you tired? Not yet. All right, take it easy, please. Hello? Yes, how are you, my friend? Good, very happy. Listen to me, please. Yes, eh? No. Can you bring me, please? I am, eh? No, listen to me. Bring me now one ice cream. Eh? One. Two. One. Two. One or two? Two. Two. Three. 2 or 3? 7. Very good. Yes, please, and listen to me too. Very important. Tomorrow morning we have very big rehearsal. I don't know exactly at what time. No, 1 second, please. Gianni. Tenny. At what time rehearsal tomorrow morning? 7 o'clock? 10. 10 o'clock? Yes. Yes. 10. 10 o'clock? I don't care. All right. Yes, please, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Repeat after me. Tomorrow morning, 10. 10. Don't forget. No. Thank you very much. Okay, it's all right. All right, take it.
Great little bits of Senor Wences, and the ventriloquists that use skills, talking telephone voice. You don't see that very much. A ventriloquist, as a Canadian guy, I think it's Johnny Main, his name was. He had the most brilliant telephone voice. A good example of this is Jay Johnson on The Two and Only. He talks down the phone to a guy who's ordering a pizza from, and the guy in the pizza down the phone is talking to someone else in the background who's making the pizza or asking. So it's like two voices on the phone. There's a voice on the phone, and there's an even more distant voice on the phone. I mean, you've really got to have a quiet audience to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And in the theatre, I did see it in the theatre, and it is completely quiet because you're like fascinated by the technical abilities that Jay Johnson uses within that show. It is fantastic. And he's a vocal illusionist. You know, that's what we all do, vocal illusions, but he is a true masterclass at that.
Yeah. Shari Lewis, when I was a kid listening to Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop, I mean, she did some vocal gymnastics. It was just amazing. And Celia Munoz.
Celia Munoz is astounding. Is it avant-garde? She's really updated the style of ventriloquism and not using a dummy. You know, she's found ways of using ventriloquism, using the radio dial and singing, changing the channels. I've seen it similarly done before, but she executed this just beautifully. And I watched all three of her clips. We were talking during her process on that, and then she was telling me, I'm on again this week, you know, it's going to be on YouTube. You can't vote for me, but you can watch it. And then she texted me the night that she won, and I was like, I knew she was going to win because I watched it, although it was all in Spanish. I understood what she was doing because it is all in Spanish and there's no subtitles, but you can understand that she's singing opera. She's reading a book and the opera's coming out of the book. She's bringing some magic to life that I'd never seen before in ventriloquism. I couldn't believe her 2 or 3 spots, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, for you and me not to have seen it before, she's got another dimension there. And this is where I'm hoping, you know, the future ventriloquists, although she's developed that through Spanish media and Spanish forms of entertainment. I've got to say, in the UK, to get an audience to sit that quietly and listen to telephone voices, opera voices, talking books, it's a difficult ask because people want to laugh. They want the hard-hitting gags, and that's the way we've been brought up. But to do those skills, you can get away with it sometimes in a theatre. I mean, you can throw your voice into a box, but to go beyond that and throw your voice into the radio, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I've got another category, which is the singing ventriloquist. And this is something that since the advent of BGT and America's Got Talent, Terry Fator, I think, is the champion of this, which is the ventriloquists who are primarily really good singers as well, or singers before they're ventriloquists. Terry Fator, just brilliant. Someone who can talk and sing and do great voices and impressions. And then you've got Darci Lynne. You can see she's been influenced by Terry. And then after Darci Lynne, there's another string of Jamie Leahy, the British guy who likes to sing as well. It's a whole category that I've not been raised on, because I've been raised on just making people laugh and entertain them. But it's a new category of ventriloquism, something that seemed to have evolved and came along with Terry Fator. And it's giving children and younger people an outlet to perform ventriloquism who haven't got lots and lots of gags and snappy patter. But if you can do a few gags and then sing a song for 3 minutes, it's 5 minutes of routine there straight away. And you know, 3 or 4 puppets that all sing songs, you know, you can pad your act out. But you've got to be a good singer in the first place to be able to carry that off anyway. Do you like that category?
I like any sorts of ventriloquism. I love if someone's going to put a twist on it. If you go and do keep the art alive. I always loved that a ventriloquist would come on TV and they did well. If they did well, then I would get a booking. You would get a booking, because a ventriloquist has got popular again on TV. It's not bad for us. I don't look at an event and go, oh, that should be me up there. I think, oh, I'm going to get a couple of bookings now because that vent just done a brilliant job. And that's what we should all do. We do support each other in that way and want each other to do well. When Celia was on Spain's Got Talent, then she went on America's Got Talent and got to the finals. I wanted her to win all the way. You know, it's just so nice. When you went on Britain's Got Talent, I was behind you the whole way. I was there when you filmed it in Manchester, and you had the room on their feet. It was the most hilarious situation. I was so proud to watch. It's so brilliant what ventriloquists bring to an audience, and when it goes well, it's just the most wonderful thing. And you know, when I auditioned for BGT, you can't take away that reaction at the Palladium that I had. We've had our great nights, you know, we have some strange nights, and the business is different, audiences are different because television has changed, but it is still out there. We can still create those moments of pure hilarity and wonderful craftsmanship of the ventriloquist. It's a great art. To reinvent it is difficult because so much of it has been done before. You would see a monkey, you would see a baby, you see an old man, you see the mask routine, but you can do different things with those. If you introduce something brand new to it, then that's great. But when you do have to do an hour and a half of material, like Jeff Dunham does, he uses about 5 characters. Just reintroduce something, and you've done that over the years, Jim. You've always introduced new things. You always phone me and go, Steve, I've got this idea. This is why I love the relationship that we've always had. You've always given me ideas. You've always said, Steve, don't do that. Don't do it this way. And you've always been there to help me. And what I love more than that.
Sometimes you listen.
Sometimes I listen. Most of the time I do listen. Sometimes I just forget because I've got a terrible memory. But what I love more than all of that, what I just mentioned, is that you phone me sometimes to ask my advice. And that means the world to me, that you would care what I think, you know, and I really do, because I think, you know, I'm so passionate about it, and my maybe something I may have a different twist on it that will give you another spark in your mind, and that's why we can bounce off each other, and it really does help our creativity of our minds. It's just a lovely thing when it goes right.
I've got a category called eccentric ventriloquists. Technically gifted, they are, obviously, but just there's something about them that's making ventriloquism really crazy. Something like, now the first one that springs to mind is someone who's just a nutter, who's just using ventriloquism to express his nuttiness, is a guy called Neville King.
Love Neville, yeah, one of the greats.
You can him on YouTube on very specific. Not a lot of him on YouTube, but has a granddad character who hasn't. But gets in a fight with him, and he physically fights the dummy, and he falls around on stage, and they're knocking 7 bells out of each other, and fists are flying around, and he obviously gets the better of the dummy, throws him in a suitcase, and I've seen him sticking spears and swords into the suitcase, like the magician illusion that they do. So he's sticking swords into the suitcase, and then he comes to the end of his show, and there's another suitcase on the other side, and then the dummy springs out of there and runs across the stage. Obviously, he's a little old man.
Brilliant.
He's used a person of small stature to run across the stage dressed identically as the granddad. Neville King, I saw him at first in 1979, South Pier, Blackpool.
Wow.
On a show, a variety show, and it could have been the Central Pier, but I think it was the South Pier. And he seems to step on something. It must be a cat, because he gives this wow.
Yes.
It's a running gag all through the show. He's got props all over the place. He seems to make all kinds of things talk. And every now and then he steps, wow. He's got this cat. Oh, sorry. Oh, the cat's in the way. He gets a woman up on stage, and he tells her he's got an invisible ventriloquist dummy. And could you hold your hand out, madam? She holds her hand out, and she's holding an invisible ventriloquist dummy. And do you mind tickling him under the chin? And she tickles him under the chin. And he says, no, that's too low. His chin's up there.
That's lovely. It's really weird that you were talking about Neville, because I literally, I was with his wife, Joni King, a couple of weeks ago at home, and she gave me loads of Neville's props to take to the Water Rats Museum. Yeah, so the cats, the snake, he would pull the head off a snake, not a real one, but the 2 cats that he would twist their necks, and he got loads of complaints from the RSPCA because of this, but they weren't real animals, but some people in the audience thought they were. His granddad is in the Water Rats Museum now. She donated all these lovely props, and he had a talking Willie. I'm trying to choose the right word. A talking Willie called Sir Hampton Wick.
Yes.
Yeah. It's upstairs at the moment, and I'm getting that.
You've got a talking penis upstairs.
It's so it's well, I'm getting that fixed up before it goes into the museum, because
Which one?
It's latex, and as you know, latex disintegrates over the years. It doesn't last, does it?
So we can link Neville King with crazy props.
It's so many crazy props, but he was like he was. You were talking about Norman Collier earlier. That they used to go to restaurants together, and they would cause havoc. They would literally be in the because the wives have told these stories. They still do, and they would be under the table and pretend that they've both got dogs, and they'd be going. So Norman Collier and Neville King would be doing like ventriloquists, pretending they've got real dogs under the table, and everyone in the restaurants going, "Oh my god!" And they would say, "Excuse me, can you take your dogs out of the restaurant?" And then they look and there's nothing there, but they would cause so much hassle because they just done all these crazy prop ideas. And Joan King has just so many brilliant stories about Neville, but she always talks about him fondly and how much fun he was, but he was just the most brilliant, eccentric, you're right, eccentric ventriloquist that there ever was. He was just so wacky. And every TV show that I've got, and I've got some I'd like to show you one day, because somebody sent me some clips of him, and it's genius. Every TV clip I've got of him is different. He never really repeated his act. He would beat up Grandad, or they'd have a fight, but it would be a different way of beating it up, that would never go the same way. Eccentricity as well. You talk about eccentric. Arthur Worsley was eccentric, literally, to the point when he got to age 60, I think he was worried about maybe his lips moving, and he didn't want the audience to ever see him move his lips. So I think he retired from the business age 60, and he never worked again.
I'd have retired in my 20s if the audience saw my lips moving, and I didn't want to see it again. We all have a bad day.
Yeah, we do.
Microphone. So eccentric ventriloquist one's a bit nutty, and I put you in there. I put you in this category because of your talking horse and your lamb shank and your.
I do a lot of throwaways, don't I guess.
Jamie Davis Jr. All those silly little bits you do, and I loved all that because it sets you. You're like the Crisco of ventriloquists. Crisco's a magician that we all love. Is the magicians like just someone who just does something. In America, they've got a guy called Bob Rumba. At the convention sometimes, and if you know the guy,
I met him once.
It's got a different take on the whole thing. I put Nina Conti in there, but then she belongs in another category. We should put a mask category in there somewhere. But I'm talking about eccentric ventriloquist who just got. I mean, she's got some crazy ideas. Lots of where she puts her suit and she makes the guy in the audience dress up in this suit, and so he's wearing this whole huge onesie kind of thing.
Great idea.
Lots of crazy stuff going on. So ventriloquism can lend itself to eccentric, crazy people. This is where you hope someone in the future is going to come along and take on those kind of that mental, the mental ventriloquist, the crazy guy. Continuity. I'm going. My last one, my second, the main one for me, technically skilled ventriloquists that are funny. Now, we're all in this category, you and me, but I'm thinking technically skilled, funny. Ray Allen, John Boucher, with the Talking Mermaid, and the little fella that he had on his hand, little Charlie, I think it was. Ray Allen with Broad Charles, eccentric old kind of aristocratic monocle wearing, slightly drunk, inebriated aristocrat. I like Ray Allen's act, but Ray Allen could do some nice voices, some nice things with his hand, make some nice sound effects and things like that. A really good ventriloquist. Technically, people will say technique when they talk about Ray Allen, meaning his lips don't move. But as you and I know, there's more to technique than just lips. I mean, I could see someone moving their lips all night long if they've got a different kind of there's other aspects to technique as well. Paul Zerdin, I'm putting in this technically skilled and very funny. Paul throws his voice all over the place, and he's very funny. He doesn't rely on lots of songs to get them out, to bail them out and finish off bits. Paul would just do good comedy through the characters. Sam and Uncle Albert, he's funny with them and his baby. He's got this roadkill character now. I forget the name of the character.
The fox.
He is, man, you know, you gotta get down with the hood. What you should say, what you should talking about, brother. You gotta get on down. And he was this character that he was taught how to do the voice by Matt Slack, a comedian that you know.
Wow.
It was like a kind of London rappy kind of accent that a lot of rappers use, London kind of rap. Yeah, man, it is what you're doing. I was coming out at the night time. I'm looking for some food. You ignore me, man. I'm just going through your bin, man. I'm just going through with this. I don't know what Paul's script is with this, but I remember thinking, as a funny character, that's a well thought out character and a very skilled ventriloquist. At the end of his show, he's using a lot of radio control stuff like Strassman. He's using some of the characters are animated through radio control, like Sam Albert on his little mobility scooter. Paul puts on a good show. So technically skilled ventriloquists that are funny. I've gone through eccentric ventriloquists like Neville King, Steve Hewlett, Bob Rumba, Nina Conti, singing ventriloquists, BGT, AGT, the Darci Lynne, Terry Fator, Jamie Leahy, skilled ventriloquists who just do very artistic stuff with their ventriloquism. George Slick, Senor Wences, Ronn Lucas, Shari Lewis, Celia Munez, Jack Williams, stand-up comedy ventriloquists who are just basically stand-ups. And I'm talking about Jeff Dunham, Dave Strassman, Johnny Roberts, Mike Dennett, Tony Adams. The last one is children's entertainers. A lot of children's entertainers are based on magic, but they'll throw in a ventriloquist dummy, mostly in Axtell, because Steve Axtell makes the most amazing puppets, and we love Steve Axtell. We've all got, who hasn't got Steve Axtells in their collection?
Yeah, I use the pig and the horse.
Yeah, Axtell expressions were my whole Jungle Gym show. Everything, the lion, the monkey, the
Witch in the wardrobe.
Cheaters, yeah, everything. Just the line of my yeah. I had about 20 or 30 Axtells, everything at the drawing board. But children entertainers use ventriloquism to break up the magic, I think, because there's only so much magic you can take. And like I found out when I was doing children's shows for an hour, just doing all ventriloquism, it's nice when I break it up with a bit of magic. Just, a couple of very simple things that I can handle. I'm not a magician. But children entertainers that do that. So there's lots of categories of people who can use ventriloquism, people of all types of persons who can perform eccentric people, crazy people, reserved, quiet, shy people. There's a platform where you can find ventriloquism as your outlet to perform. If you want to perform ventriloquism, there's a platform out there for you. I just try to put them into categories because I thought, there's so many types of facets of ventriloquism that we all enjoy, and Jeff Dunham is the one who set the bar so high at the moment. I can see him in 20 or 30 years time. You can about the Beatles were to music, the Beatles set the bar so high. People are still trying to catch the Beatles, and no one's managed to attain it. Even Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson, no one, when you look at the sales of records and downloads and nowadays, no one's came and socially and culturally what the Beatles did to the world. Jeff is to ventriloquism. He set the bar so high with Ahmed the Terrorist and all that stuff that he does. He's brilliant. Yeah, so where do you see yourself? Where do you see ventriloquism going in the future?
I hope it carries on going because everyone's read my book.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's just that, like I said earlier, it's a conversation that what me and you were doing, talking about how great and how all those different categories that you've discussed today. That's what keeps it alive. If it was just ventriloquist dummy on the knee like the music hall, it would have died out. But we are finding new ways of inventing an art, and the ventriloquism is down to me and you to change what we do, keep it. Not keep doing the same way. We coming up with new ideas. Whereas you went out and you were successful for like 30 years as the adult act, but you thought this isn't enough. I'm going to go and reinvent myself in another way. You doubled your business by writing an award-winning children's show, the Jungle Gym show, which you've done for 15, 20 years as well, which you overlapped with your adult stuff. You were doing. I couldn't believe when you were doing this 15, 20 years ago that I kept saying to Nina, I don't know how he's doing those shows in the daytime and then doing the evening shows. He'll do cruise ships. He'll come back. He's got 5 children's shows this weekend. You were so busy, but you were successful at what you'd done. And because you're out there doing the children's show, the Jimmy Tamley show, you're keeping it alive. And that's the main thing. It's about going out there and doing it and trying to be successful at what you do. I had my big TV break. I've milked it as long as I can, like what you should do. I'm trying to reinvent myself all the time by writing new ideas and new shows. The last 2 years, I've been doing this new show. I've been trying to get on stage. I've done it. I've nearly finished that tour. I now move on to another project. But it's all going to be ventriloquism related, you know. Now, if my book turns into a TV documentary, I would love that. That's where I want it to go. I want the book to inspire something. I've got some ideas, which is when the book is published. I've got some spin-offs, but it's all TV related. So I really hope that it does keep it going, you know, pushing it forward a little bit more to keep the ventriloquist alive in people's minds and want people to go out and see a ventriloquist again. Like when you go out and do a theatre tour, not to struggle to get people in, you know, but I want people to go, oh, there's a ventriloquist. I want to go and see that because I saw a great one on telly the other night. This one must be good because he's doing a theatre tour. That's what you try and do, you know, and yeah. At the moment it is struggling because we've had COVID, 3 years of struggles, and now we've got a financial crisis. You're not going to fill theatres with a comedy act or a ventriloquist act unless you are Peter Kay or Michael McIntyre or Alan Carr. If you've got the name out there on television over the years, then you're going to do okay. But for the ventriloquist not to be given the chance unless they've got that platform of Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, the Got Talent franchise saved the art of ventriloquism. I do believe that it gave us a kickstart. Jeff Dunham's done what he did without that, which is amazing what Jeff's done. And like you say, no one's going to surpass him, not in the next 20 years, but maybe there'll be a new way of doing it. Someone does it on the moon or on Mars. But I do think that doing what you're doing, you know, and you've got another idea, which I think is fantastic. And I hope you can implement that very soon. But just to keep it out there, pushing stuff out there all the time in people's faces, making sure you're on Instagram and TikTok. You've got Max Fulham on TikTok. Nicholas Bouchy, a great young ventriloquist from New York, is on TikTok every day doing little things with his puppet Chris. And he's getting they got 1 million followers. They're getting like 2 or 3 million hits from people just watching the clips and sharing it. And then he's getting his bookings from TikTok. That's where it's gone these days, as long as you're keeping it updated and fresh. And if you're writing every day like these young kids are, Max and Nick, to keep their followers out there. Keith Harris's daughter, Kitty Harris, she's in Take That musical at the moment, but she does comedy sketches on TikTok. She sings, she dances. She is the triple or the quadruple threat because Kitty is so talented. She's using her skills to do comedy now. And if you're using those new platforms that we've been given, like TikTok and Instagram, I've not really got the patience to do that. I'm trying to get my podcasts out on YouTube. That's the next step, just so it can be spread further afield, you know, to spread the love and laughter of comedy, variety, and ventriloquism. And that's what has brought me and you together. 35, 36 years I've known you. And if someone says, who's your best mate? Jimmy Tamley's my best mate. You've been amazing to me, and you've given me a career. You've given me a great friendship. You've always been kind to me, and
you can't say I gave you a career. And I know people, when I bump into them, they say, "Oh, Steve's saying this about you," or saying he holds you in such high regard. But without your enthusiasm for it, if you didn't have that wanting to be a ventriloquist, you could have just been a little kid down the road. Without enthusiasm for it, you know, you wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. It's because you love ventriloquism, and it's just, you're so lucky to have had, you know, I think you're lucky to have had a bloke living down the road 500 yards away, less than half a mile away, or whatever it was, just down the road from you, who does it for a living. You know, that was a lucky call, because there's nobody even in Reading itself that was doing it. Might have been someone when I was younger doing a magic act, but I wouldn't know. But there was no ventriloquist around. I didn't see a ventriloquist in the flesh until I saw Terry Hall, Lenny the Lion, but when I was about 18 in London and in pantomime, and I just amazed. He said the word purple with two perfect P's, and I thought, whoa. He said, mine's a Kirkle. Mine's not even a purple. and he sounds that, mind you, it could have been because I was right up in the gods, but no, he just, Terry Hall, that's the first ventriloquist I saw. And I saw Keith Harris at the Savoy Theatre, the Savoy Hotel in London. I had to pay a lot of money for me and my sister to have a meal to watch in the late 70s or mid 70s. Keith Harrison doing his cuddles thing. It might have even I think it might have even been before Orville. I just remember that.
Yeah.
Before Orville, and he's the same birthday as me, so we're both 21st of September.
Yes.
We both have an Earth, Wind and Fire song named on our birthday. Do you remember 21st of September?
That's one of my favorite songs. Yeah.
Hey, it's me and Keith have got that commonality, and also the other commonality I've got between you and Keith is I'm from Basingstoke. I'm born in Basingstoke, and so are you. So, so that's our little tenuous link.
Yeah. Do you know that Keith was born in the New Forest?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, New Milton, I think it was, or Lymington.
We're all born in Hampshire.
All born in Hampshire, all three of us. And with those three ventriloquists born in Hampshire, three good ventriloquists in America, in Texas, you got Terry Fator, Ronn Lucas, Jay Johnson, Jeff Dunham. And there's another two ventriloquists. There's 5 or 6 great ventriloquists from Texas. And I on Jay Johnson's podcast, if you've not heard it, he explains what he think that reason is. So I'll leave it there.
I'll listen to that. Okay, mate. I'll have a listen to that.
So there must be something in the water in Hampshire as well that did it.
Yes. There's a Jimmy Jones gang there coming. Must be something in the air, darling.
The legs.
Ice and Steve.
Jimmy Tamley, thank you for turning the tables on me today. I've really enjoyed this. Obviously, I hope other people enjoy listening to about so many ventriloquists. But if anything, if this inspires another young ventriloquist into carrying it forward, then we've done our job. We've done it. We spoke about it, and it's inspired somebody to come out with the next big thing. Because you need that vision. You need to see, like you said, what was done in the past to create a future, and whack it in the ears, and it will be there for years.
That's it too. And once we both popped our clogs, once it's set out in the ether, this thing can be listened to in years to come. Maybe some other events might pick it up, or someone looking for a bit of inspiration one day can tune in and hear about two old farts talking, because I know we're 20 years older than you, but you're categorized in the old fart category almost now.
Yeah, getting it.
Doing it so long. No, it's been great to have a chat and to cover so much ground, to talk about so many, and just indulging ourselves in ventriloquism, because now I know you've got the book out, and I was, you wanted to talk to me, and I've got a project coming up, and you mentioned I'm working on something, but I can't reveal what it is yet, because
that's fine.
We just let too much out of the bag too quickly. But maybe that'll be a chat in the future. But just Ventriloquest, I'm so looking forward to getting a signed copy of that book, and we'll maybe go to the Ventriloquist Convention in Kentucky and load our luggages up with loads of books and sell them there.
I am planning to launch it there, and also at the Blackpool Magic Convention. So that's my goal. So this week I get back into trying to finish that project, and hopefully by the end of the July I've got something to publish. So Jimmy Tamley, thank you, mate. Thank you so much for the 35 years. But hopefully we're only halfway there, and so really appreciate your time. I love talking to you, whether it's on the phone, in the car, to keep us awake. Thanks for the other night. You put me up in your workshop the other night, surrounded by ventriloquist dummies. I laid there in your workshop. You built me a granny annex so I can visit.
You just need to have a little portaloo in there next time. But no.
Did you find that in the drawer?
Sleeping with a load of dummies. That's nothing. You're used to that anyway. I don't mean by that your wife. I just mean by being used to sleeping with dummies, because we've all got boxes of dummies and things scattered around the house. But no, it's great to have a chat with you, Steve, and refresh our conversation that we had before, and bring it up to date with the book Ventriloquest, coming out in a year near you somewhere.
Hopefully within the year. But Jimmy Tamley, thank you, mate. Love to you and the family. It was so nice seeing your family in the band, Coca Polly.
You would be my divine dream maker. Oh, thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing. Say women, they will come and they will go. When the rain washes filter your words like coffee, I'd be left with all I need. They would give me the kick I need, but your words, they hurt me indeed. Coffee's a wise guy and doesn't reply. On you I used to rely. You have always spoken your mind. These days I'm not so divine. Your love does not inspire me.
Coca-Cola, yeah.
Coca-Cola in Brighton last week. Amazing. That you've created some wonderful little people in the world, and so they will carry on your legacy. If I don't, they will.
Oh no, cheers, Steve. No, it's been lovely having a chat with you, and love to Nina and the girls, Lola and Arissa. And we'll catch up again soon, mate. Take care.
Thank you, Godfather.
Yeah, man. Gone, father.
I was hoping you'd say that. Good night, Jim.
Gone, father. Bye-bye.
Eyes and Teeth.
Thanks again to Jimmy for joining me on Eyes and Teeth as the penultimate episode of this season. Season 15. We're nearly done. We don't need an excuse to talk ventriloquists, so this has been fun. That this talk is archived forever, and they do say 2 heads are better than 1. Well, with us 2, there's 4 heads, if you know what I mean. Today's quote comes from John Lennon. We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. Join me for the last episode of Season 15, Eyes and Teeth, the world's greatest variety show, when I chat to a member of the world's most successful families in entertainment from the Osmonds. Jay Osmond.